Here, just wash this glass for you.
It's okay. Thank you so much. I haven't had a glass in a while. I've conquered insanity. I've conquered many things. I went through many awarenesses mentally that could cause someone to go crazy. But I always found that there's this force that is always showing me, like, no matter what type of messed up shit that skews my perception of what reality is, I find there's this saving force that, like, that shows, this is, like, real.
Brings you back.
Yeah, it always brings me back, and some people just don't get saved like that, and they just stay. But stuff like in that room that I was in, sitting there, I remember it had to do with Lil Wayne, a rapper. I don't know what was happening. We were functioning on this very high level, and I remember the frequency. Oh man, it's probably dropped so tremendously low. And we were never able to operate at that higher frequency. But I remember stuff like sacred stuff. Because I know what the Matrix is.
Yeah.
There's just too many things to talk about.
So let's go back to the losing of the money, or what happened.
Oh, that doesn't matter as much as this, because
okay.
it's just money.
Okay. Yeah, but you said we needed to talk about this. It's something real, and
yeah. Well, before I jump into that, I'm gonna have to go through these points.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot of people who ask themselves, when they pass away, does the world end? And then I kind of, you get to choose a lot of things. I learned you can, from, I Got the Keys song from Future and DJ Khaled or whatever. That's when I learned you can choose to be free. You can choose your own, people don't know this, but you have the human ability to choose if you want to be free. Like literally free. Like if you want to choose to allow people to make you think that you belong in a cell, I don't know how I escaped that regressive thought pattern, but I always knew that I had the choice if I wanted to be free. That's a lot of people don't know that. I kind of wish out of the goodness of my own soul that people knew that. The heart and the soul and the body just goes down on the ground. It's just a physical construct. And I thought about this, looking at my own flesh, there's something disturbing about it, because it's all just carnal. But there is energy in this. I'm going to explore a few things. It's like, they say you can't bring money, but can't you bring, no one really ever questioned this before. If you can't bring your money, can you bring the same feelings that you got from the money?
Bring it where?
To the next place that you go.
Like after you die?
Yeah.
Oh. That's a big...
and
I guess that would depend on what you believe on that happens after you die.
I believe people don't want to accept what truly happens, and I believe the truth is right in front of us. I believe I used to not have the faith, but as people have said over and over and over again, the heaven concept, that's like the number one thing a soul learns. And then that's when I realized, naturally, that just has to be the way. It has to be, there has to be that, just that first soul realization. And then I started to accept it, it has to be real. Because whenever someone passes, they always talk about heaven. And it's almost like hell does not exist, but I do believe, this is what I mean by, it's important to talk about this before the money. And I learned that, that I knew that I'm living in the afterlife already. But I'm not actually there, but there's a lot of ways that I have an afterlife gravitational energy. I'm in touch with forces. And I truly just don't believe in the. It's so easy to call it schizophrenic, and that's okay. I accept if everyone else would. I don't think everyone else. I believe if you believe something with enough conviction, whatever you believe something to be, I don't believe it's schizophrenia. Everyone else is going to believe. It all comes from within. And I'm thinking in the ways that I have the afterlife energy is that I think I think about this a lot. Realizations like, I've been having, I know how to check myself. I know when I'm not when I'm saying something that sounds crazy, or I'm saying something that sounds mentally ill, or I'm saying something that sounds schizophrenic. I check myself to know that I've been experiencing a lot of damage mentally and not feeling well mentally. And so I have the best way to explain it is these mental irregularities.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try and do it on myself. English is I'm really blessed as well to know how to write. I think that's going to work into my media career. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some real world stuff, but I had to say, I was thinking the other day, yesterday, with ideations, if I choose to think that if you have to be blatant, if you commit suicide, which is, and you shouldn't say something, and then the way the media says it, and then they just say it as if it's nothing. I hope there is a reaction in me if I say commit suicide. Is it going to happen? I can't know for sure. I hope it doesn't happen, but that's out of my control. It's also, if I also came to these ideations, if someone wants me to die, it's out of my control. And I came to the conclusion as well a few days ago that I don't mind if someone makes me die.
And when you're talking about suicide, you're talking just as an example, or you're talking about you've had thoughts around that, or?
I've had ideations.
Yeah.
There's been times where this is very important because it doesn't go away. I think it's a life lesson. I think it's supposed to be very hard for everyone. I think only a few people or a circle goes through it, like a 1% type of people go through it, and 99% of people don't ever have to go through it, and so they never have to understand it. Maybe because they're blessed, but the people. If someone went through what I did mentally, they would not be here. A lot of people,
yeah.
And that's what happens. A lot of people have taken their own lives because of the COVID, the isolation and everything.
Uh-huh.
This is real.
Right.
This war is real.
Yeah.
We are really in a war, and that's the war that gave me a lot of trauma. I know that I've been through war because when I was working, it was like military conditioning. It was very painful. I suffered. I was forcing myself to stand and walk, and it was painful, and I forced myself to do that. And I cannot say what happens yet because it'll spoil it. It'll spoil my momentum right now. But if it's going back to that concept, I came to the conclusion, like, you're gonna have to just choose some realities. Like, you can only think so much about all these different possibilities. You're gonna have to choose something. If I did that, I think that I'll be like in Africa, and one of those kids, like, you know, in abuse, or one of the kids going through starvation, or I think about, before I had ideations, I thought about terrible realities. I had such an innocent perspective on my realities. Like, I wouldn't call it, I think when you call something blessed, it's a mature soul perspective. Before, I'm thinking, like, I'm not even going to say what era because I don't want to be regressive, but when I was in a certain period in school, I would think to myself, sometimes especially smoking weed, I would open my eyes up and say, you know, man, what if we were in, like, Africa? I don't know where that came from, but what if we were in Africa? I had those thoughts before, these maybe psychotic thoughts. I just think that it opened up my eyes, and it was like I had a normal upbringing. This school is worth a lot. It's a new building. It's literally, it was worth millions, and I'm in the school. Everyone is normal, making jokes, having fun, loving everyone, loving each other. A few fights here and there. It was like a family. And I'm thinking, I never forgot. Some people never think about this, but like all those kids in Africa starving and like going through, it's so terrible that you can't understand it. Mm-hmm. It's not possible to understand how bad the reality is until you're in it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the reason why I go through stuff in the present day. Mm-hmm. I think God's showing me reminders of like where I could be. And so I think if that suicide thing happens, I think about it too much because it's just another one of those things that I think about, overthink. It doesn't matter if it has to do with dying. I'll overthink it. I'll overthink about a pillow or a couch or a paper. Suicide is just like another concept to me that I'll overthink. And so if I overthink, I'll go through it. And I keep having difficulties even today letting go of thoughts where I say, okay, most likely, basically, I think, no, I don't believe there's some type of redemption, because there's maybe like a God perspective, like the soul is going through too much pain and suffering that I'll spare it and won't take it to hell. No, everyone thinks that. Everyone, even my neighbor, has told me, if you do that, you'll go straight to hell. But
if you do what? If you kill yourself?
Yeah. But I think all humans have to ask themselves this and think about it. I think you go to both places. I don't know why that stuck with me, but that's probably going to be a reality because I chose that reality. I think you'll go to both places. I think you'll have peace, but you'll also be in torment.
Mm-hmm. So, is this something that you're thinking more seriously about, or that you have plans about?
I never had plans. Yeah. But there were maybe 2 times this year at the end of the year when I said I had the impulse to really do it. It was a really strong, serious impulse. But it doesn't worry me, because I think I was supposed to go through that. I think that's what makes you strong. You're able to face something.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't worry me. You mean recently?
Yeah, there was this time when I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, if there was something and that's why I never want to be around certain weapons.
Yeah.
If there's something I considered, if what would happen when I picked that up, I had the impulse to utilize that,
Yeah.
and so I had this strong impulse in me that was, and that's what you call suicidal.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of me.
Do you know what was going on then? Was it just bad thoughts or?
No, it was the environment. Nothing other than my house that I'm in could make me feel like that. Something's wrong with that house.
Can I ask you how you got back there? When I left, you had a new place.
Okay, so I think it's time to talk about that. It's hard to transition because, you know, I'm thinking about existentially what I left in Mark with the whole duality thing. And so it was either that or starving and going through a messed up next life. But that's as far as I go with it. And so I resigned on the 20th and I was fired on the 22nd.
But you resigned before you were fired?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I asked them, could you give me some, it was so elaborate. I know in the future when they know that I'm going to be, I hate when something that tries to deceive you tries to stop you from realizing your potential. When I say something like, they know who I'm going to be in the future, it'll try and deceive me and make me think that I'm being arrogant when I'm not. No, when they know that I'm going to be someone in the future, I know they're going to look back at, I think what sticks with people is the way that I articulate my intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this since I met the youth advisory, Denise C-Cat Wong. I used to write these elaborate emails and I still can't. I did it with Admiral when I came back from the hospital.
So why were you resigning?
So Elise Wasserman is the new name that we're going to be, this is going to bleed in the next year. Okay. I realize I'm at peace now because I realize I don't have to try and prove to myself, can I end off strongly, or I felt like limited with a ceiling above me, above my head, where I had to say things before it sealed off in the year. And now I have all the room of the entire next year to talk about this stuff. And we'll talk about Elise. And so this is the chick that I went on the date with in Berkeley. I think I told you about. Mm-hmm. And she ended up. So this is now the story. This is the story that happened. I have a story.
Can you start it off with like when did it happen?
Yeah, so I was just chilling on my couch on my off days, either Sunday and Monday, and then Elise calls me about something that she's like struggling with, some type of, and then I end up saying, we end up agreeing that I can do laundry at her apartment. Denise is from 72.
And this was the 19th, like it was before the 20th.
Yeah, I think it was like the
Monday would have been the 20th. So
no, yeah, I think it was Monday because I keep thinking about the night of the date eating. Mm-hmm. We were in I don't know how we got to San Francisco, but we ended up eating at this place, and that's when my life changed at that very point. Mm-hmm. But before I get to that, I was just chilling on my couch, and then we decided to meet up after all the time we haven't talked. It was with the intention of running errands and doing laundry and stuff like that. And then now I know why it's called doing laundry. Doing laundry is an acronym for sex.
Oh, I didn't know.
So
didn't know that.
So my male psychology thinks that I'm fulfilling a survival instinct and like, wow, it's always like that, because I knew back then when I was in college with Melissa, when I was just doing these, like, it's just like it's complete human nature to think towards that way. I was just asking to meet up. I was in the parking lot next to this office in the parking lot at the college at CCC, and we were just talking about meeting up before class to get notes, writing about a book, studying it, helping me with an essay. And I kept thinking in the back of my, that's just how guys functionally think whenever it has to do with the opposite gender or meeting up. I never think about the ideology when I'm meeting up with a therapist, or it has to be some type of trigger. There has to be some type of chemistry of attraction. And Melissa liked me, but I didn't like her. I liked Linda. And I think YJ was here when that was happening, and I had this huge crush, this whole story. I was obsessed with it. Those are my stories of love that have always happened, and I'm here right now facing the same reality of it happened the same way with Angelina Alvarez. Like, I devised this plan, and I had this crush, and then it falls out. I never find, like, I think God always decides to say, no, I'm going to let him not be in a relationship. I'm going to let him not have sex and stuff like that. And so, yeah,
she asked if you wanted to do laundry, and she meant have sex?
No.
Okay.
Elise is, she is very, as I knew from the very time that I saw her in the hospital, and everyone was like, she's so pretty, I'm pretty sure they were talking about her. Yeah, she's really up there. I never asked, but I think she does have Botox in her face. So you can imagine, and her voice is like, it sounds like, she is, this is very important, what we're talking about. This matters more than I think. She got choked out like 1 month ago because she refused to have sex with this person that she met, and I wouldn't blame her that she didn't want to tell me that when it happened, but she eventually told me that, and she said it like it was nothing. And then what I thought about was like, yeah, I know you've been going through this your whole life because of the way you sound and look, and she's not like sexy. It's not like an overblown out proportion that we have this idea in our heads now from everything that we see on social media and everything. But yeah, but I'm not attracted. There's not an attraction. And I like when that happens because the energy is clean. When there's no attraction, there's clean energy. So, no, I talk about how, I talked about this we went on a road trip, and I was telling her how I am most attracted to Caucasian white women, and then Latina women, and then she said she's attracted to, like, black, or like, Samoan, stuff like that. I don't know the word for it. Ethnic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Tribal, like. And I can't see the attraction in that to myself. Probably the same way she can't see how everyone I've said this my whole life, and I've always received backlash for liking that, for liking white instead of my own. I've never found someone who was normal with that, and I don't know why that's the way I am. My very first memories, my sister's friend in elementary, I think I was in kindergarten, she was in 6th grade, like, I actually, I forgot that I had the same school as my sister, for like a year. We were in the same, when she was in 6th grade, I was in kindergarten, because she's 6 years older than me, and I liked her friend, and that stuck with, I think that was the first time.
And she was white.
Yeah, and then I liked Michelle Crota, and my mom used to always tell me, I would say stuff like, I want to marry Michelle. Yeah. And she was white as well, and I went to high school with her, and she liked me too, but she ended up marrying, forgot his name, but she got married, and then I made out with this black girl when I was like in the backyard, and I remember my mom asking somehow she knew what was happening, and after we were hiding under this table, and she came out, and her friend was visiting my mom, and the two Filipino, my mom and my friend, I think it was Marvin's mom, and then she asked, "What am I doing?" And so, knowing even that when you're alone as kids, there's I suppose it is sexual exploration, even from a young age before puberty, and so I didn't know that to myself. That's like when I was like 6. I don't remember anything before kindergarten, so I had to go all the way back there to get to this point. And it's like when I think about Elise, it's like, no, it's not.
It's not like that.
No, it's not like that.
So you went on a road trip.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be her bodyguard.
Why?
That's the whole thing she wanted me to be since I met her in the hospital. And the moment I started talking with her, she was from my world.
So be her bodyguard, meaning be like someone that could stay with her and keep her safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And from the very first day, what first happened at the job was, I actually cared about my job. I was very professional. She was like, walk out the door with me and leave this job. And so that idea ended up culminating, and
on the 20th when you resigned.
Yeah. And today's the 28th. I've fallen and I've gotten stronger each day, but it's been extremely difficult, and I'm like completely. There's a negative side that you don't see that is very not as interesting and entertaining and energetic as what I'm presenting myself right now.
So what I'm guessing is, she didn't pay you to be her bodyguard, but somehow you ended up spending all this money.
Yes, $2,800 at least, and she's not responding to me.
Oh. How did that get spent?
Hotels, food, pet, and something is not adding up. Did she die? I legitimately need to know. I came to her apartment the day she asked me to pick her up. I knocked on the door. She didn't answer. I stayed in the car. Neighbors came out. They were like, "Who's this?" They're nosy. It's their own property. They care about their own safety. I had this guy on the balcony look with sunglasses, looking this way. He does this thing that I know where people look this way with sunglasses, but they're looking right here. I learned that from my own exploration when I used to wear sunglasses, and people came in and out. I don't get the energy that I was a threat, but I didn't get that energy back. But I sat in my car, ate carrots, watched CNN, and then I drove home, And then that's when I started to feel the void that I went through for like 10 months without a job, and then that's when I started breaking down, went to terrible points, but I can't go back down anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm rising up. I'm gonna trip and fall here and there, but I'm rising up each day. But
so Kofi, she didn't pay for anything. She just had you pay.
No, I feel used, and it sounds stupid, but the reason why I thought it was justified into it being fair was because there's something that's not adding up. This wasn't just a person who wanted to sugar daddy use me for money, or maybe it's ignorance of me that doesn't realize that, but maybe she is a master pathological liar. And then I explained, when I went through that scam, I went back to that lie world. I'm like, I can never be a liar or deceive people or scam people. It's like, I couldn't imagine what type of world people, like this rabbit hole, this maze that they'll never come out of. And it's like, I can't, because 99% of people are fucking normal. I can't imagine what that world would be like for them to deceive people constantly and not realize they're most likely going to have a deceived life. Or I think to myself, these important points, like, I guess the last one to that is like, nothing happens to people who do bad things, and people who do good things always have shit happen to them. That's how I feel. And it's like, this woman Elise could be a pathological master liar, but she was something's not adding up.
What did you like about her? What do you like about her?
The fact that when I think about her, I can't put her here and there. And if you're right here, you're in alignment with me. You're not a fucked up person, but you're not a good person. It's like,
good and fucked up, those two.
Yeah.
I mean, good, like.
Yeah, naturally. Naturally. Like, that's like my good and bad. Like, I'll put someone as a good person, or I'll put someone as a fucked up person.
Oh, fucked up. Okay.
And
so it felt like there was some good in her, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is madness.
Yeah.
To have to think about this is madness. It's gonna be madness.
It does feel like something took you off course. Like that her connection to you took you off course, and you ended up in a place where you didn't have your job and you were out $2,800.
And there's only a few times that's happened in my life, like a long time ago, somewhere in high school or leaving and going into college, where I've never really been duped, ever. Not really. And so I lost my train of thought. God. I learned in the church on Sunday, I was going through a curse. I don't know how I keep coming out of it. If you went through this, of course you would imagine that will cause someone to go insane. All these different realities. I think I realized again my genius is levels. I forgot that. I used to think that I wasn't a genius, but now it's coming back, and it's something that I have to accept now, because I didn't want to believe that I was a genius. Again, with the deceptive energy, thinking that I'm sounding arrogant when it's just reality, because schizophrenic, doesn't want you to think that. She doesn't want you. They don't want you to think or believe in your potential.
Who's they? The people, mental health people?
No. Whenever I think of they, I think of dark forces.
Dark forces. Okay.
I've
Okay,
always,
dark
I
ones out
never,
there,
I never
yeah.
put it to someone. I never put it to a human being. I think it because
Okay.
everything is so much deeper.
So there's some way that some force out there that kind of has defined schizophrenia as something where you just don't have capabilities, or you don't have potential, you can't be a genius and a schizophrenic at the same time.
Exactly. You can't, and then artists make it so funny, and like DJ Khaled's like, they don't want you to be rich. They don't want you to have a house. Like they make it palpable to the public. I enjoy being a crazy artist because I do it a certain way. I enjoy being like kind of, that's for another time, but this thing, what I'm trying to get at is I think I've always been saved from I've always had something reassure me in truth, and I always had the awareness, but it's too hard to talk about. But she is crazy.
Yeah.
She thinks that her car's she actually has like real, I could see the parallelisms. Like me, I have the awareness and I just nip it in the bud. But this, I could see why she goes in the hospital.
She's getting really, really caught up and overcome by the symptoms.
Yes. She's not schizophrenic, but she is very, it is crazy.
Is it bipolar maybe?
She knows she's bipolar.
Okay. Well, that can involve some delusions for sure.
Delusion of being followed. Mm-hmm. She thinks her husband is. So I know now in my heart and soul, I know her intentions are well, because there's innocence in her craziness.
So, but she catches you up in it in a way that throws you off course.
She still thinks that she can. This is the second time this has happened where when you have some sort of richness, that's why I never saw myself as like, what do you call it when the kings are like dickheads? Napoleon complex. Nick was like that, and she was too. It's how to explain it. Please stop. Like something would happen, and she would be like, "Please stop talking," or like really bossy. Like,
okay.
But I can be bossy, but I'm not extreme. It's like this pride that Brits have as well that I can't explain.
Is she British?
No.
No, okay. So you kind of got in this dynamic with her where she was kind of bossing you around and kind of...
Yeah, I was hurt many times.
Yeah.
But I learned in church... So now what I was trying to find for a second that I was losing was that in church... the church knew that something happened, and I felt like I lost everything, and I felt so cursed on Sunday, and now I keep getting taken out into grace and having, the world is different somehow. I went through war for like 3 to 4 months, August to December, and it feels so different. I'm never going to be in the same place that I was 10 months ago, coming straight out of the hospital. I really built something for 12 months straight.
Sure did.
And take anything away from that, I should feel proud of myself for that.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm supposed to think. That's the correct way. But I don't think or give credit properly to myself.
Yeah.
And I felt like I lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to God. I realized that I can't do it without God. Like a lot of people, don't have to be required to be connected to God, but I have to be. It's my birth destiny. And church is so hard. It is so hard. The main elder he just turned 70, and I love him. He's not like one of those. There's certain types of black people that I like and work with. There's other types of black shades that I cannot work with. And so I make it a color thing, and it's like most of my shades are very white. And what was happening in the church was that I listened. I listened, took all of my pride out. See, I have natural pride right now, like because of my Leo, but I took all my pride out when I was there. I was listening, and then they taught me that I have to look for God. And I didn't know that for 12 months. And there you go. That light hit that told me, you know, the reason why I feel I seem like a blessing right now and graced and everything is because for maybe 7 days straight, I never drew so close to God. And my schizophrenia allows me to see. I don't know if you see it. I don't know if it's just me, but I can see light a lot of times throughout the day. Mm-hmm. And when I say God, I can see light. I can see God there if I pay enough attention. Mm-hmm. I've always had this thing that doesn't go away, that is schizophrenic energy.
This light thing. Yeah.
You
mentioned it before. So you're back. It sounds like you're kind of getting back on track a bit. Realizing that you didn't lose everything, that you have something to be proud of, and that you don't deserve to be treated like the woman treated you, but you kind of understand.
Yeah, that's like the regular perspective. Sometimes I no longer wish, but like I don't know if I would wish to be ordinary again. It's very much it doesn't have to mean all these things. But yeah, that is the ordinary perspective. But what I think is that my life was changed. There's a reason why I lost $2,800 in my job. And I think I'm going to have to accept the fact that it was God doing that. And because there's ways where you make your own decisions, and God just lets you go on your own way, do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, like these certain rare times, everything adds up to the fact that it seemed like it was God's plan.
For some reason.
God is schizophrenic.
You think it was for some lesson, you think?
I think it was more than a lesson. Definitely was a lesson, more than a lesson. And I think something prolific happened before the end of the year. And it won't be the same in 2022. It's 2021, and there's a special connection between one. One is the natural way. Two is like, this is two. In closing and some thoughts, can I show you what numbers 1 through 9 means?
Sure.
This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. 7. 8. 9.
Where did that come from? Is that yours?
A lot of mental illness from it beautifully changed from some type of messed up caterpillar into some type of butterfly when I would connect numbers to certain things. And then I just realized, well, I'll just accept these are the ways the numbers mean to me from all the time I've thought. I probably thought the numbers, each one probably like 200 times by now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what job, house, and car means, I was enlightened to leave the world. He took me out of the world. And so a job, now with this new knowledge, being reborn, I feel I'm so enlightened to tell you these things, that a job is something that you love. And security wasn't my true job, but media is. A house, I'm still figuring it out, but a house, I'll try to move out in 2 to 4 months, but it seems less realistic with that. A car is just transportation. So this is my three-piece structure. I learned well enough driving for 4 months. It's been 4 months now, and I drive well now. And so breaking it down, lastly, I need help in the new year to know, or before the year ends, should I be her bodyguard? Maybe she'll, if she communicates back to me and I know she's alive, then that's God activating a blessing. Bodyguard, the thing about money is I was never supposed to have a lot. I had too much from that job. I think God knew and I knew that it wasn't right what I was doing to be working. I don't realize yet how much pain that I put myself through, but I was working like 43 hours, walking like four hours a day, 5 days a week. And the 9 to 5 is not correct. I wasn't supposed, the way that I thought this whole time talking with you for months was not the way that God wanted it, and now I can see things His way. And so in the closing, I'm thinking maybe just 25 to 30 hours.
That makes more sense to me. I think that that's less of an incredible strain.
Yeah, it was too much money for me. I didn't need to make, if this is gonna cause uproar because they don't want you to be talking about money, but 3,500 was too much. I didn't need 3,500.
So with the apartment, how come you decided to leave that? Was it because of losing the job?
I think the best way to explain 2021 is that these patterns that I went through at this time in like December are real. It's real. It's not just a mind playing tricks on me. Like the major things that happened before the year ends, hospitalization, 2016, the psychologically having to go back. I went through the same thing. I was texting Lizette, and I need to ask her about this. I haven't seen her in a while. I was texting her about how terrible what was going. There's some weird shit has happened in the first 3 days since the 20th, and it's still happening. Like, my life has changed, and it's like, I was telling her how I was telling her Yeah, I had the experience again of what happened in the apartments, leaving Nick and going back home. And then I realized I'm not as I learned so much from being fired. I learned so much from leaving my job because I asked them if they could give me a grace period to make a decision. I'm glad that I wasn't given that grace period. I'm glad that they didn't care or they didn't seem to care and they just cut me off like that. Because I don't think I was supposed to belong there. And with the same thing that happened in 2016, my point is, happened again. Apartments are, I've come to peace with living with my dad for 5 years. Doesn't mean what I thought it meant. I get to be independent and have some freedoms right now for a limited amount of time, but the same thing happened in the apartments. When I came back home, I slept a few nights in a hotel in San Francisco.
Oh, with yeah, Angelina.
Elise.
Elise.
Angelina's.
That's someone
I
else.
wish it was
Yeah,
Angelina.
okay, sorry.
Separate rooms. My past repeated. In closing, the apartments, Nick took me to a hotel, and the moment I stepped in that hotel, I remembered all the same. So, the past, present, and future actually is happening all at the same time. But it's just that I'm leaning more towards the present and past before I get to the future. And I think I should probably stop around there unless you want to ask me anything.
So you gave up your lease, or did you not sign a lease?
No, I thought I was moving out because she was taking all her stuff out into the hotel, and there was a certain day, I feel successful even though I failed because there's a certain day I got super serious about moving out. I took all my stuff and I literally, I told my mind legitimately thought that I was moving out.
But you didn't actually get a new place?
No.
Oh, I get it now. So when I left and thought you had a new place, you didn't really have one?
Exactly.
Okay.
I was in that apartment. I never was in an apartment for years.
What apartment?
It was she lives next to the hospital, and it's a real apartment. She pays $3,000 for a month.
So you were in her apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went there, and she's supposed to give me. Yeah, she's rich, but something's not adding up. I'm supposed to have this piece of jewelry that I can sell, and let's just say I won't have to worry about money. That thing is a real piece of jewelry. But she took it back, and I said, you're not gonna refuse to give it to me, right? Mm-hmm. And she said, basically it was like no, but it was like, I don't know how much of word that women stick to. Me, everything that I say is bonded to me now, that I say out loud. So when I say I'm going to give someone a piece of jewelry, and I'm not going to refuse it if you ask later on, then I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you, but I don't...
Yeah, it's not necessarily about a woman, though. It's about what kind of person you are, whether she would do that, right?
There's psychology between genders.
Right, but there's some women that would do certain things and others that wouldn't, just because of what kind of person they are. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Okay. So it does sound, I have concerns about her. I mean, just...
I hope.
Yeah, I do.
I hope we can...
Yeah, I would like to talk more about her and about how you make decisions about it. I mean, sounds like you have a proposition.
This is quite a story.
Right. Yeah.
And now you know the backstory.
Yeah, but she hasn't been paying you anything, and
No.
and
I
you
paid
end
for
up
her.
feeling that you've been taken advantage
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
So those are important things to listen to, because I would imagine that you might get callings from her again to come and
Yes.
help, and you may
And
end
you know
up feeling
what's dumb? I'm gonna accept it. Because she is my door to media. I'm
Wow.
not really gonna pay as much as I did.
She's your door to media. She's connected.
Yeah.
How? Okay.
She's the only door that I have. And if I lost all this, if I lost my job, I said I was gonna do this in 2 years. I think I have to do it now. I'm getting very serious about my career. The label, I know how to make it. I need to end off this way. I know how to make something out of my record label. Like, let's just say people know about it in the music scene, but I don't know how to break in yet. I broke into security, I broke into communication and social media, but I didn't actually break into
How
media
can she
yet.
help you though?
It's gonna sound stupid because this is all a leap of faith, but I'd ask for $800 a week to be her bodyguard, and that's how she would pay me. But other than that, she would, if she told me she's gonna ditch, or there's a certain word she used, if she's gonna ditch everything and just, maybe that's what she's contemplating now, because we bonded so much with energy and hardship. She'll just give me the piece of jewelry and I can sell it. That's all I got for now.
Okay.
And either be a bodyguard, the hard one is gonna be 25 to 30 hours on a wage job. I don't think that's the way.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's more to be figured out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in terms of safety and being able, and where you're at right now, you feel like you're kind of in a better place, and that you're feeling like you can get through the next week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel doomed. I don't feel like that type of suicidal.
Right. And I know you reached out. You were able to call the on-call.
I called Ian twice.
So that's great. I'm glad that you used the on-call when you felt you needed it.
Yeah, those 2 hours. I don't think you guys realize how helpful you guys are. I can't show you it, because if I showed you it, I wouldn't truly understand it.
Yeah.
But I know I can tell you enough, like,